hope y'all enjoyed the Cali Q Symphony, man. Listen, y'all didn't know I had that, did you? Now, I've been contemplating on how to make my Expedition 33 video for months now. Let me just say it like this. I'm gonna do this video in more of a raw talk format rather than a review format. I just want to get my raw feelings out about this game, what it means to me, and honestly what it's done to me in 2025. I'll just start off by saying thank you guys for your patience and your support while I was getting this video out. I was really stumped on how I wanted to do this video because this is quite literally probably one of my favorite games of all time, and I wanted to be very delicate and genuine with this game. Is it a perfect game? Absolutely not. Is it the greatest game ever? Probably not. But is it amazing? Is it heartfelt? Is it sincere? Is it the best game I've played of 2025? Absolutely, without a doubt, no question. So let's jump into how Expedition 33 made me feel like a kid again. Expedition 33 made me feel like I just played my first RPG experience all over again. Let's talk about it. So where do I begin? Do I begin with the amazing presentation of the main characters? Do I start with the beautiful, hauntingly beautiful backgrounds and environments of the impending doom for Lumiere? Should I start with the fact that in the first hour of the game, I'm hit with one of the most emotional, impactful scenes of characters I barely know that I've ever played in an RPG? Yeah, maybe let's start there. From the beginning, I thought at first maybe it was a little janky, right? You got Belle running like the Flash and you got all these sort of things happening, and you really don't understand Gustave and you really don't understand the battle system. Everything's kind of coming at you at once. But then once you get in Lumiere and you start to explore, you start to see that the game has humor. You start to see that the game has a trash can man. You start to see that the game has mimes hidden away in the corners. But you notice something happening here. You're already invested into this story from the very premise in the first hour of the game. At least for me, I was caught from the very beginning. And when Sophie gomaged, it made me want to get the Paintress more than anything. It made me want to set out on this expedition and go get that you know what. But on the more serious tone, what a way to start the game. What a way to set up a story that I immediately care about. I always talk to my brother and I tell him it gave me that Attack on Titan premise. I was invested in that story from the very beginning, and Expedition did the same thing here with me. Now, let's get into some other pockets of the game and aspects that I love of this game. I enjoy this cast of characters so much. Every character I truly cared about, and don't worry, I won't be going into any spoilers here, but every character has some of the most unique and realistic traits of any RPG characters I have met in the recent years. These days, to me, a lot of RPG characters feel either tropey or just shallow, and not that Expedition 33 is completely exempt from all of these criticisms or critique, they still felt so real to me in this game. And that's something that an RPG has not been able to do for me in a very long time. Perhaps it's just maybe the appearance, and that this being a French-based RPG, it gives you a different take, a breath of fresh air, but the characters themselves managed to make a huge impact on me, particularly Gustave and Belle and their complexity. The complexity of the characters, their choices, and the story just meshes so well to me. There is some convolutions here and there that are a little hard to follow, and it gets pretty complex and maybe over diluted for no reason, but that's what any story, right? Every story has its own form of critique, and every story has its own amount of confusion if you really think about it. But not only just that, let's move over to some gameplay. Now, Expedition 33 utilizes this unique system of a parry system, a dodge system, even jumping at some point. And I love the variety of options you can do during this battle. I was also telling some of my friends, this is not a game where you can just sit down and press A, like the old school RPGs, JRPGs. You have to be actively engaged with every battle. And Sandfall does a great job of mixing up the variety of opponents and enemies that you face, because each battle, each group presents a different difficulty, presents a different variation of the battle. So no two battles are always the same, and that's one criticism of RPGs that you could have, is that they all can be samey and repetitive at points. Expedition 33 avoids that, in my opinion, with its unique approach of turn-based active combat, reactive combat, I believe they called it. I love it. I think it's great. I can see it being a little too hard for folks at time. It had some sort of that Demon Souls or, Elden Ring type of difficulty to some folks, but they have various difficulties that you can use if that is a little bit too much for you and you want to enjoy the story. I did feel the difficulty spikes here and there. I will agree. Sometimes the difficulty spikes were pretty fast and pretty crazy, but that made me want to engage in the combat system, the skill system, the Picto system, the Lumina system. So many cool systems in this game to me. I mean, I think they handled this phenomenally. A lot of RPGs these days, in my opinion, are trying to get away from some of those traditional things that we grew up with. And I love that it took Clair Obscur to bring some of that good old skill building back. Speaking of skill building, you can craft your characters any type of way that you want to. I love the variety of this. This means the way I play Expedition 33 might be completely different than the way you play Expedition 33. And that's what this journey is about. That's what the RPG journey was about. It was about crafting your journey, your experiences with these characters in these immersive worlds. This game brought that back for me. I'm telling y'all, I've played a lot of these modern RPGs and none of them have made me feel like this with their mechanics. None of them have made me feel like this with this being my journey. I think that's the pivotal point here about this game, is that this is my expedition, not yours, not hers, but my expedition with these characters. Let me know if you guys play this game completely different, because I'm a balanced guy, like having all my stats pretty balanced, but I've seen some people do all attack. I've seen some people do defensive builds. You can build whatever you want, and I think that is phenomenal. Let's talk about the story, man. The story, like I said earlier, it hit me hard in every way. Shout out to my main man, Verso. I think Verso is one of the most complex characters that I've had the honor of playing with and getting to meet on the journey, and he is, despite what some people may not like him, but I love Verso. I think Verso is off the chain, and I think his plight and his mission is pretty admirable in the grand sense of things. Speaking of that, no spoilers in this video, but man, does the game hit you with some moral choices and some opinions of discernment. And I think that that is what made this game so special to me. Now, the story may have some plot holes or issues that some people might find. For me, I love it all, so I'm not really that vexed by that, but I've seen this conversation online. Let's talk about other aspects of this game that I think is just quite phenomenal. The world map. Thank you, Sandfall Interactive, for bringing back an interactive world map. This thing is so true to the essence of what an RPG/JRPG is, and I love it. Every nook and cranny looked like it was done so meticulously, looked like it was done with so much sincerity, and I'm speechless by the way that this world map is. Combine that with the music, the atmosphere, and the overall feeling you feel while traversing this beautiful, big, haunting world. Brilliant. Absolutely well done. Probably one of my favorite world maps of all time of any game. I mean, I was mesmerized. Speaking of what's in these world maps, so many little things to do, so much content. I love the side stories, the submissions, all the things you can find and explore, the areas that are not required to go to, but you can go to, all adding to the lore of this incredible game. This game is just full of lore, and it feels like it's moving even without you playing it. And I love lore like that. I think that is what a full 3D lore looks like. A full fleshed out lore makes it feel like that world is alive without you even being in it. The way that you can gather the previous expeditions journals and see what they went through. And oftentimes the game will place the journal where that boss that killed that expedition may be, or what their story was before they die. I mean, just absolutely phenomenal on all fronts. A little small thing that I love to mention out too is the way that the flags, the saving flags, they all represent previous expeditions, and that's the way that you save. Those little details like that, man, that's just a chef's kiss to me. Now, one thing I do gotta say, my biggest critique of this game would probably be on the mechanical side. I'm not a fan of the autosave one save system. I wish that that was a little bit different, as I have been put in places where I lost or I didn't do something that I thought I did and I had to redo it again because of this auto save, only one save. So hopefully next game they won't do that type of system. Please bring us multiple options, because this game has a lot of nook and crannies at different intervals that you might want to try different things at, all right? Now I gotta touch on that music. I have never met so many soundtracks, aside from maybe since Nier, that has given me so much feeling. The soundtrack in Expedition 33 is nothing short of magnificent, marvelous, amazing, and astounding. I love almost every track. There's no track that truly bothers me. Every track makes sense in the position that it was at. I'll never forget, man, when I got to Old Lumiere and I was fighting one of those enemies there, it was just haunting. I literally just stopped and listened to the music because of how I was feeling. A random battle music made me just stop and appreciate the song. It was moments like that that I knew this game was special. It was that moment that I was like, all right, this is my game of the year. Now, let me touch on something else real quick, man. Again, I said this wasn't going to be a review, but it looks like it's turning into somewhat of a review. It's just me gushing over 33. But don't worry, at the end, I will have my compilation of cons that I did have about this experience. One thing I want to touch on, though, before any of that, is something more outside of the game itself. The fact that this game retailed at $49.99, $50 with this much content speaks volumes to the developer's integrity, speaks volumes to the development team's character. I remember this team was actually criticized and potentially mocked when they announced that Expedition 33 would be at the price that it was. And now playing this game, seeing its critical acclaim, seeing it impact so many people, sometimes you just have to trust people. Sometimes we've been so callous to this industry with $80 racing games and $80 game key cards that we have forgot that there's still some developers, there's still some people out there with integrity that does care about the player, that does care about what it means to experience something so genuine, so pure, and so true. And that's Sandfall Interactive. I will give them absolute kudos and credit for their decision to make this game as accessible as possible. Because let me tell you something, I would have paid $80 for this game. I would have dropped the 80 for Expedition 33, because I believe that of all games, this is a game that should have deserved the $80 price tag, in my personal opinion. So I had to get this piece out to the developers directly. I respect you for making this game so accessible to so many people. It shows the type of character that you have when it comes to your business and your company. So thank you for that. So let's go over a few cons that I actually did have of the game. And I will say that the save system is one of my major cons. I'd also say maybe the difficulty hikes and spikes at random points from one point to another can be a little bit jarring. I mean, I can see some folks getting a little upset about that, in the way that like the healing system works. You can't really heal outside the party only one time, like an area, and then you have to rest again at the flag. So the difficulty arguments and the save arguments, I totally agree. I think those are some little pitfalls of the game. But other than that, man, I have to keep it real. I don't have too many cons about Expedition 33, guys. And that's not me just glazing. That's not me just being a fanboy. I really can't find too many things that upset me and that I wasn't happy with. I've seen a lot talking about the map system, how there's no mini map of any of the areas. And to that point, I can see that as well. But then when you go and look it up and see that it was the developer's intent for you to focus on the beauty and terrain of the environments, hey, that was a design choice. And I do respect it because it had me more immersed in learning the world than me just looking at the mini map, avoiding and neglecting to see all of the hard work and beautiful details they put into all of these areas. So for me, it's not many cons here, man. If I had to put a score on Expedition 33, I would absolutely give it a 33 out of 10. Man, this is a 10 out of 10 if I've ever seen one. 10 out of 10 doesn't mean perfect. It just means for me, it hit everything that I was looking for when it comes from a JRPG, or I'm sorry, an RPG. That's what this game made me feel like. It feels like it came from the origin itself because of how beautifully it embodies its message and its essence. I've seen folks talking about overrated this and overrated that. Listen, quality doesn't mean it's overrated. Things you don't like is fine. It's things you don't like. But let's stop throwing around that overrated word, okay? When you see something pure and it just jumps out the screen because that's what it is, then just say it's not for you, give it some critique, and move on. This overrated tag that we give everything nowadays is quite annoying to me because there are some things that are truly deserving of that, and then there are some things that truly deserve to be masterpieces the way that they were crafted, all right? So let's just give credit where credit is due. I could gush about 33 all day, but let me save some of this content for another video. Thank you, Sandfall Interactive, for such an amazing experience. This is absolutely my game of the year so far, and nothing has come close to it, nothing. And I've had some pretty anticipated games this year. Subscribe to the channel, man, if you enjoyed this take on it. Thank y'all for y'all patience. Thank you all of my channel members. I'm just so grateful to experience this amazing title with you all. And let me know down in the comment section, am I glazing too hard? Am I overrating this game? Man, how do y'all feel? In the meantime, I'm about to go finish up leveling up to level 99. I'll see y'all on the next one. God bless. Peace.